Good evening, everyone. So happy to see you here, everybody, for this wonderful celebration. I'm Bonnie McDonald, and I'm the President and CEO of Landmarks Illinois. And on behalf of our Board of Directors and our staff, we welcome you to the 30th anniversary of the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Preservation Awards. Now, your presence here, excuse me, let me move this over so everybody can hear. Thank you. Your presence here with us and online, hello to the folks online, is a testament to the importance of historic preservation. So thank you so much for being here with us tonight and to give a warm celebration to all of our award winners. Now, our mission at Landmarks Illinois is to help people save places for people. And since 1971, we have inspired and empowered stakeholders to save the places that matter to them by providing free guidance, practical and financial resources, and access to strategic partnerships. Now, partners like the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation are vital and expansive and impactful to our work and make it possible. So thank you so much to the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation. Would you please give them a round of applause? As I mentioned, for 30 years, we at Landmarks Illinois have partnered with the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation to honor the legacy of preservationist Richard Driehaus. And we are proud that Richard chose our awards as one of the first that he named in his honor. Now, Richard, as some of you may remember from coming to this award many times, was one of Illinois' most important benefactors. He lived passionately, and he also selflessly rewarded others with his generosity. Now, for Richard, saving historic places was not only about the structure, it was about the meaning. He believed that historic places inspired us through their beauty and through their potential of a renewed life. So Landmarks Illinois thanks Ann Lazar at the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation for partnering up with us for this last 30 years. Can't believe it's been that long. They have been unwavering supporters of our work in this effort to redefine preservation and to make it more relevant, including the recent incredible gift of $1 million towards our reinvestment program loan fund. So once again, we thank everyone at the foundation, including Anne and also Brad White, who's with us, a senior program officer, for investing in the work that we are doing helping people save places for people. And we also want to thank our colleagues and partners at the National Park Service and at the Illinois State Historic Preservation Office. I know they're sitting right about here somewhere, so thank you to them. Otherwise, as you know, the State Historic Preservation Office you might have heard of called SHPO or SHPO. Some of them are here tonight and others are watching online. The Federal Historic Preservation Tax Credit, the Illinois Historic Preservation Tax Credit, and the River's Edge Redevelopment Zone Tax Credit, as well as other funding and regulatory programs are all managed by this incredible staff that we have in Springfield. Would you please give our partners at the Park Service and SHPO a round of applause? On behalf of Landmarks Illinois, I would also like to give special and celebratory recognition to our longtime collaborator, Carol Dyson, who announced that she will retire at the end of this year. Carol is the Deputy State Historic Preservation Officer, Chief Architect, and Tax Incentives Manager at the Illinois SHPO. She has served people of Illinois, helping them save their special places for over 38 years between the SHPO office and the National Park Service. And her impact can be felt across our state on main streets and in neighborhoods through the thousands, if not tens of thousands, of historic places that she has helped to give new life. The preservation community thanks you, Carol, for your passion and your dedication, and we are indebted to you. So would you all please give a round of applause for this incredible public servant, Carol Dyson. Many of you know this work is also not possible without the support of our city partners, including our elected officials, our state representatives, our congressional representatives as well. So we want to acknowledge the elected officials who may be here with us tonight, including 3rd Ward Alderman Pat Dowell, who is associated with the Bronzeville Legends Award tonight. So your funding and our oversight of our programs do move preservation projects forward, our regulators at the city, the state, and the federal level, as well as our elected officials. So these projects that we preserve in communities are about identity, and also they make communities more sustainable. So would you please give a round of applause to any elected officials in the room as well. Thank you, everybody. So to my right are the beautiful awards that our winners are going to take home with them this evening. The awards are Wheelock trophies that are custom crafted by sculptor Michael Chupik of Trek Studios, who we've worked with for many years and is a trusted collaborator of the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation. The foundation also assisted with the design, including Mr. Driehaus himself, so we thank them for their contributions. They are replicas, the white ones in the front that you see here, are replicas of a terracotta spandrel panel from the now demolished, unfortunately, Western Methodist Book Concern building that was designed by Harry Wheelock in 1899. The Richard H. Driehaus Legacy Award, which you'll see soon, it's in the back. That winner who receives this is receiving a hand-designed scale model of the entrance of the Chicago Stock Exchange building. Yes. Oh, but not only that, it is also fully animatronic. So just to say, it has working lights, it has sound, so they're going to be able to listen to this program all over again if they want to when they get home. You're welcome. Now, the awards jury this year thoughtfully deliberated on over 30 projects submitted by their peers in preservation, and they will serve as tonight's presenters. So we thank them for their dedicated service and one tough job. So tonight's presenters are Gabe Jacobs with Antunovich Associates. Gabe is also a member of Landmarks Illinois' Young Leaders, our Skyline Council. Our next presenter after Gabe is Mark Stoner from the National Trust for Historic Preservation, and then Jane Lorash from the Laborers Home Development Corporation. Jane is also a Landmarks Illinois board member, and she is a past award winner herself. We also have Yafet El-Amin from Efficacy Consulting and Development, I'd say probably a future award winner for the work she's doing in East St. Louis. We have Jeff DeQuee from the International Masonry Institute, Quinn Adamowski, our Landmarks Illinois Regional Advocacy Manager, and finally, our distinguished guest, Ann Lazar, the Executive Director of the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation. Tonight, we celebrate these award-winning projects from across the state, including the restoration of architectural landmarks, adaptive reuse, and rehabilitation projects that serve the most vulnerable residents in some cases, and the preservation of community identity through cultural heritage. Though you'll only see a few members of each of the award-winning teams tonight, we know that their successful preservation efforts were years in the making. And they were also made possible by the hard work and support of countless stakeholders that may not be here with us tonight. That includes those whose skilled hands did the work, our tradespeople and craft workers. We want to celebrate the contributors, the contractors, the subcontractors, and the material fabricators for their important role in preservation, and they often aren't getting the recognition that they deserve. So they literally make preservation possible. Would you give a round of applause to the craft workers who do this work? All right, I think I'm done asking you to clap now, so I promise. You take a moment, take a breather. And then congratulations again to all of our Landmarks Illinois Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Preservation Award winners. We hope that you enjoy the program. I'd now like to introduce Gabe Jacobs to come to the podium to give our first award. Thank you, everyone.
add a little bit of light up here. Good evening, everyone. I'm Gabe Jacobs from Antunovich Associates. It is my pleasure to be with you tonight. Serving on this year's jury was an incredible experience. To see many of my colleagues doing this work is inspirational. Tonight's presentation begins with a story that encapsulates the persevering will of preservationists like Richard H. Driehaus. No project, big or small, has managed to conquer this spirit to revitalize resources rather than throw them away. Its location in central Chicago and the near west side, in the heart of the city's transportation system, meant that half of Chicago's workforce saw the imposing landmark deteriorate every day. The 11-acre site with 3 buildings with over 2.5 million square feet. Built over train tracks, Amtrak and Metra flow underneath, and Ida B. Wells Drive runs through the first level. The south branch of the Chicago River is on its east. Greyhound and public transit are within blocks. As an architect myself, I can tell you that is a logistical nightmare. When Landmarks Illinois listed the old post office on its most endangered historic places list in 1997, it had been vacant for 2 years. Being the persistent and steadfast advocate that she was, former Landmarks Illinois Director of Advocacy, Lisa DiChiara, in partnership with the organization's board members, advocated behind the scenes for nearly 20 years to prevent this building's demolition. 601 West Companies won the request for proposal in 2016 and began the largest historic redevelopment project in the country. With skill and determination, 601 West partnered with JLL, Telos, Gensler, Bear Construction, and others to create a vision the project's team delivered and brought to life. And they brought the old post office back to us. Federal historic tax credits were a critical and significant source of funding for the project, along with Class L property tax incentive. It was reviewed by the Illinois State Historic Preservation Office because of the Historic Preservation Covenant for deaccessioned federally owned government buildings. It was listed on the National Registry of Historic Places in 2001 and was designated a Chicago landmark in 2017. The project team's restoration of the old post office and Amtrak's investment in Union Station brought overdue attention to the Southwest Loop's potential, sparking economic development, housing, restaurants, and retail. The site itself is a stunning masterpiece that maintains its architectural heritage. Congratulations to the Old Post Office project team for winning the Landmarks Illinois Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Preservation Award for Adaptive Reuse.
Good evening. Thank you, Landmark Illinois, the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation, for recognizing the old Chicago Post Office for this prestigious award. I'm Cheryl Schulz, a principal at Gensler and a co-leader for the firm's Building Transformation and Adaptive Reuse practice area. I'm joined this evening by Brian Oyster, Executive VP of JLL and the General Manager of the Post Office, Erica Finney of JLL, and Ashley Rogo of Gensler, who was the architectural designer. We're happily representing the entire redevelopment team this evening. Special recognition goes to the visionary developer 601 West Companies, who invested in this distressed property and brought this icon back on her feet to modern day relevance. This project redefined the southwest corner of the Central Business District and spurred economic growth to what's known as today as the Post Office District. It also set the bar and created an example of what's possible when you reimagine existing buildings and give them the love that they deserve. 2.5 million square feet was transformed into experiential destination office and event space, a rooftop park that rivals none, and I mean none, simply put, is magical. It goes without saying that the entire team could not be prouder. The teamwork and relationships built here were the result of pure passion, bringing Sleeping Beauty back to life. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Mark Stoner, Graham Gund Architect for the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Thank you again to all who submitted nominations for this year's awards. As a jury member, I can honestly say that we had a very difficult time choosing between many impressive transformative projects. If your project was not selected this year in this year's awards, I sincerely encourage you to resubmit for next year. Another iconic Chicago landmark that has come to define the city's award-winning architecture is, of course, the Tribune Tower. When an international architecture competition was announced in 1922 to design the Tribune's new office building on Michigan Avenue, in celebration of the paper's 75th anniversary, one of the requirements was to make it the most beautiful office building in the world. Housing the newspaper's printing plant was a beacon to journalism and the free press, a treasured American value. The tower was located adjacent to the Chicago Tribune's existing printing plant, designed by architects John Howell and Raymond Hood, and was constructed in 1925. I know I speak for all of us in saying that Chicago would not be Chicago as we know it without this amazing and iconic masterpiece of American architecture. After the newspaper vacated its offices in 2018, plans were made for the building's conversion into luxury condominiums. Developer Lee Golub and the design team used the original construction documents and committed to preserving the building's identity. Landmarks Illinois worked alongside the developer, the City of Chicago, and other partners to ensure that the tower's historic facade and original buildings, as well as the iconic historic Tribune sign, were preserved, retained, and restored. Today, there are 55,000 square feet of amenities, 162 condo units, and 55 unique floor plans ranging from one-bedroom units to penthouses. Tribune Tower is an outstanding case study of American architectural stewardship. This project also ensures that John Ruskin's quote, which is inscribed on the floor of the building's lobby and says, "When we build, let us not think that we build forever. Let it not be for the present delight nor..." Sorry, let me say that again. I got to get this one right. "When we build, let us think that we build forever. Let it not be for present delight, nor for present use alone." I think that still rings true and clear for this building. Help me congratulate Golub & Company with its partner, Los Angeles-based CIM, and the project team for winning the Landmarks Illinois Richard H. Driehaus Preservation Award for Adaptive Reuse. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Come on. Yeah. No reflection?
Hi, everybody. Whew, there's lights. I'm Lee Golub, Managing Principal with Golub & Company, and on behalf of our capital partner, development partner, CIM Group out of Los Angeles, we accept this award. Thank you to the Illinois Landmarks Illinois, and the Richard Driehaus Foundation for this wonderful award. But also have to thank everybody who worked on this project. I think everybody listed there, but special shout out to our design architect, SCB, and Mr. Steve Hubbard. For him, this was a labor of love. It was for me as well. Chris Pemberton, the managing principal of SCB, is here as well. I also like to thank, our interior design group, the Geddes Group, our preservation architect, Vinci Hamp, and again, everybody else who worked on this project. This was a very, very difficult project to execute. It was one of the most creative projects that Steve Hubbard and SCB pulled off. And I give a lot of tours of the Tribune Tower, and I tell people when we start, I say, I can oversell anything. But at the end of this tour, you tell me, did I oversell the Tribune Tower? It's impossible. It is the greatest building in the world, and we thank you. Thank you much.
Let's head downstate a little bit, shall we? Hi, everyone. I'm Jane Lorish. And as Bonnie mentioned, I have the triple pleasure of being a Landmarks Illinois board member, a past recipient of a Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Preservation Award, and I served on this year's jury. This project is near and dear to my heart and my hometown, Peoria, Illinois. It was in 1877 that the Sisters of the Order of St. Francis was founded and began offering health care in a city that needed it. After its start in Peoria, OSF Healthcare opened hospitals in Bloomington, Rockford, Galesburg, Pontiac, and Escanaba, Michigan, all by the early 1900s. OSF is a 16-hospital ministry and Peoria's largest employer. In 2018, OSF acquired the Big White Store, a building to centralize operations and bring its mission partners together. Mission partners are their employees who were scattered across several locations throughout Peoria, and the Big White Store is a former Block and Cool department store and 7 blocks from the original hospital. Instead of demolishing the department store, OSF restored the building and revitalized Peoria's downtown. The preservation of the building invigorated investment in the area and greatly contributes to the downtown cultural fabric and historic integrity. OSF Healthcare Ministry Headquarters Rehabilitation received federal and Illinois River Edge Redevelopment Zone historic tax credits, which help revitalize this iconic structure. Over 50 contract companies were employed during the process, providing work, local work, for over 3 years. It has catalyzed renewed pride and appreciation of local history. OSF employees also bring needed support for local restaurants and businesses as well, helping the downtown economy. Congratulations to Jim Mormon from OSF Healthcare and the entire project team for the Landmarks Illinois Richard H. Driehaus Preservation Award for Rehabilitation.
I appreciate the extra light. Hi, I'm Jim Mormon, Chief Executive Officer of Integrated Solutions for OSF Healthcare. I also served as the head executive lead overseeing the rehabilitation of the ministry headquarters building in downtown Peoria. As anyone who has ever tackled saving and restoring a historic building, being readied for the wrecking ball knows bringing a nearly 276,000 square foot structure built in 1904 into the current century is not for the faint of heart. Over the course of 4 years, more than 800 tradespeople, 56 trade partners, navigated supply issues and historical requirements to restore the building with its 350 columns and capitals and more than 250 windows, back to its original glory. Opened in early 2022, nearly 750 OSF mission partners are now based out of our ministry headquarters building. It is a beacon helping the revitalization and energizing the downtown of Peoria. I want to thank JLK Architects, who's on the stage with us, Dewberry Architects for helping us along the way, and Point Court Construction. And thank you to the Landmarks Illinois for honoring the OSF headquarters ministry building, built in 2000, or building with the 2023 Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Award in Rehabilitation. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Yafet El-Amin, the President of Efficacy Consulting and Development. As those of us in preservation know, building working relationships with community stakeholders is a key to success. Celadon Partners did more than that when they decided to right a wrong that occurred 20 years ago. In 2000, Baptist Home in Maywood, Illinois, abruptly closed and displaced all of its residents. These residents represented some of the most vulnerable in our society, low-income seniors with few safe living opportunities. Initially built in 1920, the building had been vacant since 2005. The loss of the Baptist was a significant wound for the community, as the original facility was an important anchor. Celadon chose to reinvest in this neglected building because restoring the original use was very healing for the community by once again providing a place for Maywood Senior to live with dignity. It was a cause worth fighting for, making the hard work much, much more gratifying. The Old Baptist Retirement Home was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 2017 for its social and history and architecture. The rehabilitation received federal low-income housing tax credits and federal and state Illinois historic tax credits. These tax credits helped the project team bring renewed life to the Baptist home. It is now known as Maywood Supportive Living, and this restoration provided 100 seniors with affordable housing and over 75 new jobs. It also brought $60 million of investments to Maywood and enabled the village to extend tax increment financing districts to other areas. This has sparked new economic activity throughout this area. Let's congratulate Celadon Partners, winners of the Landmark Illinois Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Preservation Award for Adaptive Reuse. Congratulations to the entire project team.
I'm joined by my business partner, Aaron Weisner, and we have a special guest from the mayor of Maywood, Mayor Booker. I'm Scott Henry with Celadon Partners. I want to thank Landmarks Illinois and the Richard Driehaus Foundation for this prestigious award. This is the second time in which Celadon has been honored with such an award, and we're thrilled to be here with you tonight. Historic adaptive reuse projects are hard. It's probably the hardest thing that we do as a company. And I think the reason that we're drawn to them is the beautiful symbiotic relationship between these beloved historic buildings and the communities in which they're located. And the Baptist Homes in Maywood is no exception. The Baptist Home was built in the late 20s. It flourished for 70 years until it closed in the year 2000. It was 21 years of blight before we got in there in 2021 and started swinging hammers. 12 months later, we started to reverse the tide of that blight and recreated this beautiful building. And sure, we created a state-of-the-art facility, affordable assisted living. Sure, we brought $60 million into the community in investment in 75 full-time jobs. But what really matters is the life that was breathed back into that community. And life begets life, right? Once we finished the project, folks from Maywood and outside of Maywood certainly took notice. Folks were redoing their houses. Folks from outside of Maywood were looking at Maywood and said, there's something going on here. And we're seeing all kinds of new projects sprouting up. That's what it's all about. That's why we're proud to be part of this project. And I notoriously always forget people to thank. So Aaron, do you mind helping me out? Make sure I remember everybody.
And we are very appreciative of our financing partners, our construction company who stuck with us during a pandemic. They had every right to walk from this project, this crazy project we were undertaking, and we do appreciate them. But actually, trick Scott, I'm up here to say something else. Behind all of these projects you're going to see tonight is a crazy person. This is our crazy person right here. So Scott mentioned that he did West Pullman Elementary a couple of years ago. I was not his partner yet when that got done. But when we first started working there, they kept telling me about this building. Every single person, I've 15 years of affordable housing experience in Chicago, said, oh, I've been in that building. You know, we tried, gave up. Scott kept talking about Maywood, and I finally said, okay, fine, we'll look at it. It took his true belief, his vision for what this property would be, Thad Gleason and his team as well, to give them credit, to bring this forward. And there's a reason why Scott's here. Again, his vision for this property, his steadfastness in fighting, I mean, really fighting to get this done. I just want to give a round of applause to Scott for getting this done.
Thank you.
Wow, if you didn't feel that, yes, good stuff. Thank you. People saving places for people is the mission of Landmark Illinois. Let's give Landmark Illinois and the Driehaus Foundation a hand for recognizing inspiring projects. They show others across the state that preservation is possible. Our next award takes us to Southern Illinois. Jeff Mayer grew up in Marion, Illinois, right down the street from Town Square. The city of Marion was working to revitalize downtown, and Jeff stepped up with his own vision and passion to help. He purchased the Goodall Building, built in 1900, which anchors Town Square Plaza. Through the years, Marion has lost many historical buildings, but Jeff was determined to preserve the Goodall Building. Not as a builder, not as a developer by trade, but as a proud resident of his hometown. And he wanted to bring this focal point back to life today. The Goodall Building houses today a popular bakery, rental space, and luxury one-bedroom condos. With several historical buildings now under renovation, the Goodall Building is influencing the reinvestment in and rebranding of Tower Square Plaza. And what makes this one of our favorite awards is that Jeff didn't know he was nominated until it won. The city staff nominated the Goodall Building because of how inspiring Jeff's story is and how dedicated he was to bringing high-quality craftsmanship to the restoration of this prominent local landmark. Jeff Mayer's vision and the synergy of historical renovation happening at the same time has given the people of Marion a renewed sense of what is possible. Congratulations, Jeff Mayer and the Goodall team, for Landmark Illinois' Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Preservation Award for Rehabilitation.
Can you hold that? Sorry. Good evening. Wow. Hi, I'm Jeff Mayer. I'm from a small town in southern Illinois, Marion, Illinois, a long way from here, 360 miles south. And you know, I'm just very honored and humbled to even be up here this evening, reading all the bios on all these other projects and then listening to the introductions. I'm blown away by the scale of these projects that I see. I know what the undertaking is. I think the previous award winner was talking about how hard these projects are, and they're extremely hard. And just to be up here with all of these other ones is just a complete honor. So I would like to just thank a few people. I'd really like to thank Landmarks for what, obviously for having this event this evening, but more importantly, what they do day in and day out. The preservation and the help of all that up and down our state is so important, and to have an organization like that is amazing. The Driehaus Foundation, obviously, for a lot of the funding, goes without saying how important that is as well. I also want to thank the city of Marion. I know a lot of times probably the municipality doesn't get a lot of thanks. A lot of times you hear that that's the most difficult part to work with. My city is unbelievable. I probably would say I couldn't have done the project without them. There wasn't anything that they weren't willing to try to help me solve. And there was a lot of things that we had to solve. A lot of things that I never thought of before I started the project. So I want to give a big shout out to my city. Also want to thank Greg Kwasniewski. That's my architect from Right Angle Design. He was such a help. It wasn't really about the drawings. It was about his opinions and him giving me options and helping me look at what my options were when we would come across challenges. I used to like to call them challenges, not problems. Yeah, and that helped me get through a lot of it. Rick Jones from Rick Jones Construction, my main carpenter and contractor, there wasn't anything that I asked him to do that asked him, or if we could do it, that he would ever say no. We always figured it out a way to do that. So I have to those two guys were, I couldn't have done the project without either one of them. And last but not least, I have to thank my wife, Tabitha. She's here with me this evening. This isn't what I do by trade. I have a other full-time career that takes an enormous amount of time already, and then to take this on was unbelievable. She supported me through the entire thing and had a lot of opinions that I went off of. when we did the complete build out. So thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Jeff DeQueef from the International Masonry Institute. Our next award is a hero image for this year's promotional material. It also reflects, all right. It also reflects community resilience and shared vision. In 1926, the Auburn Gresham Healthy Lifestyle Hub was home to Rusnak Furniture. As many families escaped the Deep South in search of a better life, the South Side of Chicago became their home. Social policies and ingrained racism soon distressed these communities with disinvestment and a lack of city services. The once bustling furniture store became a rundown public aid office and sat vacant for 30 years, a distressing symbol of the impact of unjust government policies, including the lack of economic opportunity. The neighborhood was a food desert, medical desert, and financial desert. But Carlos Nelson and the Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation had a different vision for their community. They set up a task force to engage over 1,000 residents to learn how the Healthy Hub could improve their quality of life. Armed with this information, they received funding from a host of organizations, including the Landmarks Illinois Timuel D. Black Jr. Grant Fund for Chicago's South Side, the Chicago Bears, the Pritzker Trauber Foundation. And because the Auburn Gresham Healthy Lifestyle Hub received a community development block grant, the rehabilitation was reviewed by the Illinois State Historic Preservation Office. Maintaining the terracotta-rich edifice, the team decided to preserve the architecture as a record of Auburn Gresham's history and a symbol of its rejuvenation. The redevelopment includes surgical removal of the building core from 20 feet underground to create elevators, as well as east and west elevations allowing windows and natural light. Now, within the Healthy Hub are essentials like a high-tech teaching kitchen, healthcare, social services, banking, vocational training, and a community gathering space. The development created over 150 jobs and sparked economic investment in the area, including a new metro station, affordable housing complexes, and a former bank that has been slated to be repurposed as part of the Healthy Hub's expansion campus. The Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation is the Landmarks Illinois Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Preservation Award winner for adaptive reuse. Congratulations, Carlos and the entire team.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. I remember about 15 years ago, I was starstruck when I got a chance to meet the illustrious Richard Driehaus. And I remember him telling me how much he loved Chicago's Bungalow Belt, and particularly the Greater Auburn Gresham community. As he grew up, his boyhood home was 9 blocks away from the Auburn Gresham Healthy Lifestyle Hub. Now imagine a hulking 60,000 square foot building sitting ominously vacant for 30 years on 79th Street, the busiest bus line in the entire city of Chicago, right at Halsted, State Road 1, the Dixie Highway. This ominous building, 30 years vacant. And imagine a community development corporation having the audacity to dream and to ignite into action, to raise funds, and to create plans to bring that building back to productive use in a community that had little to no access to high-quality health care, a community where the very first COVID-related death in the state of Illinois occurred just 2 blocks from our office. And imagine working hard to raise the funds, to get the investment, to bring back to life what is now affectionately known as the epicenter of health and prosperity on Chicago's South Side, the Auburn Gresham Healthy Lifestyle Hub. I want to thank Landmarks Illinois, and I also want to thank and pay homage to the spirit of Richard Driehaus, as this project was kind of a vision that I would imagine he would certainly be proud of if he were here with us today. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Oh. I'm Quinn Adamowski, Regional Advocacy Manager for Landmarks Illinois, and I also had the privilege of serving on this year's jury. Part of preservation is turning intangible memories into present-day reflections that hold within them the shared identity of people. Artist and urban planner Chris Devins believes these collective memories hold communities together. The Great Migration settlement in Bronzeville is responsible for Chicago's Black Renaissance. Bronzeville is home to cultural icons like Lorraine Hansberry, Gwendolyn Brooks, Ida B. Wells, and Jack Johnson. After decades of disinvestment in this important Chicago neighborhood, Chris is investing his talents to ensure that Bronzeville remembers its cultural identity. The Bronzeville Legends Initiative is a multi-site creative placemaking campaign that uses murals of notable residents as a medium to celebrate the extraordinarily rich cultural heritage of Bronzeville. After a year of engaging with the community, Bronzeville residents selected Nat King Cole for the first mural, which was completed in 2014. There are now 6 murals in Bronzeville and a 7th at the National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum. Importantly, in January of this year, Bronzeville was designated the Bronzeville Black Metropolis National Heritage Area by Congress. Which culminated after an advocacy effort of more than 20 years. With initial funding from 3rd Ward Alderman Pat Dowell, the Legends Initiative is now a cultural draw and driver for economic development and heritage tourism. Art is usually hidden behind walls, but the legends are cultural backdrops that are freely enjoyed by residents as they go about their daily lives and appreciated by tourists who visit the Black Belt. Chris Devins is countering the negative images of the South Side and staking a claim in the area's future glory. Please help me congratulate Chris as he accepts Landmarks Illinois Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Preservation Award for Cultural Heritage Conservation.
Oh, yes, hello. All right. So thank you very much. You know, the first time I encountered the man whose name is on this award, Richard Driehaus, it was at another award show, possibly this one, I'm not sure, but it was about 8 years ago. And I also saw a few members of Landmark Illinois, some staff and everything, and I was seeing them interact with people and then other people on stage. I was astonished at his commitment to the preservation of our architectural and cultural heritage. So I'd like to thank them for recognizing the importance of cultural preservation as well as the bricks and mortar jobs that have been going on. Thank you. So Bronzeville Legends began in 2014 when I witnessed residents' homes at the Ida B. Wells Madden Park housing complex in Bronzeville being demolished. And I began to think about the potential of public art as a way to strengthen community. I realized that Bronzeville was sitting on a gold mine, its rich historical legacy of notable African Americans and achievement. And my response was the Bronzeville Legends Initiative. The community support from the beginning was overwhelming. It was a community participatory project. So I'm up here by myself, but it's probably just we couldn't fit all the members of the community on the stage. So I'd like to thank you, Third Ward Alderman Pat Dow, for helping jumpstart this initiative. Dr. Sakoni Karanja from Centers for New Horizons, the late John Owens, architect Phil Johnson, Amanda Puck at Mariano's Grocery, the late Timuel Black. Yes, sir. And a special thank to my wife, Jody Solomon, for her support. It's been quite the ride. And as I said, quite the ride. The wheels fall off sometimes. So anyway, blessings to the Bronzeville Trail Task Force for their work to establish a linear trail along the old Kenwood Trail line. And thanks to the Bronzeville community. Next up is a mural of living legend sculptor Richard Hunt. So I realize we don't have to wait to honor our legends. We can catch them while they're still here. Thank you for this wonderful award.
Our next award is the Landmarks Illinois Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Preservation Award for Leadership. Resource Bank, founded in 1901 in Malta, is the last locally owned community bank in DeKalb County and surrounding area. As community banks continue to disappear, Resource Bank Executive Chairman Richard Katz wrote an open letter to the community describing their ROC principles: enriching the lives of our clients, caring for our community, and believing in the American dream. For the past 44 years, Richard has believed in the adage, in matters of style, swim with the current. In matters of principle, stand like a rock. By repurposing historic buildings into local bank branches and free community spaces, Resource Bank has merged respect for local heritage with modern banking practices. This month, Resource Bank is celebrating its 122nd anniversary, and for over a decade has become an incredible example of utilizing historic preservation for the betterment of community. Resource Bank distinguishes itself by its commitment to community engagement and sustainable growth in small-town America. These reuse projects build community banking relationships with the residents and build a thriving local business environment. These projects also help keep the unique identity of each small town and promote a sense of pride. Preserving local heritage has sparked others to invest in neglected buildings, stimulating local economies, creating jobs, and attracting other businesses. Resource Bank branches have become living museums where locals and visitors can learn about the area's history. Please help me congratulate Executive Chairman Richard Katz on receiving the Landmarks Illinois Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Preservation Award for leadership.
Well, I've been asked single-handedly to get us back on track, so I'll be very, very brief. First of all, our thoughts are one of just expressing gratitude. Gratitude to Landmarks Illinois for being such a fabulous inspiration to all of us who have an interest in historic preservation. Thank you to the Richard Driehaus Foundation for your support. The loss of Richard Driehaus is just a very much of a loss to the Chicago community and Illinois as a whole. Express gratitude to David Hagney, who's in the audience. He's an architect and friend of many years, has been a key part of our efforts. Gratitude to Diana Schott, who's a 37-year employee and a colleague of mine, and at Resource Bank, currently CEO. Express appreciation to my wife Kathy and David's wife Ann, who are in the audience tonight. They have been unbelievable supporters of both of us throughout our careers. And finally, thank you to the sturdy hands that built these projects many years ago, and the heads and the hearts and the strength of all those involved in renewing these properties for today and for the future. Many thanks. Have a good evening.
In case you forgot,
wow, what a night, right? Good evening. I'm Ann Lazar, the Executive Director of the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation. Hearing preservation stories of passion, shared identity, community, and service is truly heartwarming. Richard H. Driehaus was also passionate about preservation, and this 30th anniversary of the Landmarks Illinois Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Preservation Awards demonstrates our continued commitment to recognizing preservation throughout the state. I am happy to present this year's Legacy Award in Richard's honor. In 1888, Aurora had a population of 12,000 people when the hospital was built, with 25 beds. As the population grew, additional space was added. By 1995, the population was over 100,000, and the hospital moved to a new site. The original structure was abandoned. The site became a dangerous nuisance as it sat empty for 3 decades, threatening the health and safety of the public, especially children who go to school directly across the street. That's when Michael Pouladakis, with his lifelong friends, got together to bring the hospital back to life and to fulfill the medical and family needs of the city they love. We also want to recognize the work of Lisa DiChiara, Landmarks Illinois former Director of Advocacy, who worked alongside local partners to see the city hospital preserved and presented as a preservation opportunity. Abatement took 9 months, and today the old hospital is a one-of-a-kind, multi-use campus for assisted and independent senior living care. If that was not enough, Bloomfield Innovative Living also houses adults with developmental disabilities. If any elder parent were a caregiver to an adult child before their needs changed, both would be at home in Bloomhaven. Bloomhaven Innovative Living. Bloomhaven Innovative Living is on the National Register of Historic Places. It received federal and Illinois River Edge Redevelopment Zone historic tax credits to aid in the rehabilitation. The Bloomhaven campus is over 300,000 square feet with 1.5 acres of green space. The Bloomhaven Innovative Living Community team took on a project that many thought was a definite teardown and transformed it into a one-of-a-kind campus. They did an incredible job while fulfilling the unique needs of their community. On behalf of Landmarks Illinois and the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation, I am honored to present the Legacy Award to Michael Pouladakis and the entire Bloomhaven Innovative Living team.
I'm 60 seconds or less, I promise. Truly humbled to be here with all these other award winners. I have to go down the list. I apologize. First, I want to thank God, who without him, nothing's possible. My wife and kids who put up with me, the families of my partners who put up with us. Fox Valley Developers Partnerships team, Paul Conrad, WGN, Stathi Pulakidis, Jason Conrad with Conrad Construction, a construction partner, Russ Warman with KWCC. We heard about all of the challenges, but try doing that during COVID, during shutdowns, supply chain issues, would not have been possible without my construction partners. SHPO, I could go on for 30 minutes about how SHPO helped save this hospital. Darius Bricott, sorry I had to mention your name. Without you, this wouldn't have happened. NPS, of course, and all that they did. All our state and federal elected officials. Truly, this is a public-private partnership. All our consultants and strategic partners, I'd be remiss if I didn't at least say thank you to John Kramer and his positivity for this project that helped push this forward. Ryan, consultants. East Aurora School District, Fox Valley Park District, who helped also make this happen. VNA Healthcare, who for the first time in 30 years is bringing back healthcare to a healthcare desert on the southeast side of Aurora. And last but certainly, the City of Aurora Aldermen, city staff, including on stage today, Chief Management Officer Alex Alexandru, who played such a vital role in making this dream a reality. Mayor Richard C. Irvin, who many times I've said that his dedication to the city is without equal in the history of Aurora. My operations team, Andy Hubble, who has taken on the executive directorship of Weston Bridges, Lisa Favre, his business development officer, and Mitch Rivera, who you think building this is with challenges. Try running it, and Mitch has done an unbelievable job. And last but certainly not least, Landmark Illinois team and the Richard H. Driehaus, and thank you for. I'm very humbled to have been introduced by her. These are the state's leading voices when it comes to preservation. None of this would be possible without their undeniable efforts in ensuring our children's future by preserving our history. And for that, I thank you. Because history, 2 more seconds, I apologize. Because of historic preservation and all the efforts put forward by Landmark Illinois and the Driehaus Foundation, Bloomhaven is improving the quality of life for Aurora residents. The benefit for the city and the neighborhood is a bustling campus that would otherwise have remained decrepit, drawing negative attention and activity. Whether at Bardwell Residences or Weston Bridges, the local community gathers on campus where kids can play at the park and people can impact each other's lives. And this is due to the mission of the Landmark Illinois and the mission of the Driehaus Foundation. For that, I thank you and I'm truly humbled by this award.
I thought it was very telling that Carlos Nelson mentioned that if you have the audacity to dream, because we had how many dreamers up here this evening who got it done? So I just want to say you're in a community tonight of dreamers, all of you, and I hope that you're inspired to go forward with your own projects and be on this stage in the future. By the way, you're here at Landmarks, Illinois. No? Okay. So congratulations to all of the winning teams tonight. Again, your work is inspirational, and we appreciate your enhancing the sustainability of our cities and our towns across the state, like Jeff, like Yafet, like Chris, and Aaron, and Scott. And investing in these places are important to the people in our communities. And preservation can be a greater solution to the challenges that we are facing in our communities, from climate change impacts to the desperate need for affordable housing. You are all demonstrating what is possible when we make this work more accessible, more inclusive, and more relevant. So thank you as well to the Landmarks Illinois staff for creating and sustaining this successful program for 30 years. They are incredible. You all know that. I want to give special acknowledgement to this year's team, which included our new programs manager, Layla Wills. Would you please give her a round of applause? As well as our intern, Laura Herscher, you saw her with the sign up here, Michael Chupik of Trek Studios, and Yolanda Shum for creating this year's awards. And our graphic designers from Ugly Dog Design, Patty Kwiatkowski. We also appreciate our jurors and the devotion of their time. As you can see, they're willing to come back and to do this work, to talk to you about their process and these wonderful awards. So we thank them. And of course, the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation. We miss Richard very much, and his laugh, as you probably remember, many of you, but we know that he is delighting in this tonight. So we thank you for everyone who's joined us here in person tonight. We couldn't be more honored to have you and those joining us online for this ceremony. Now, many of you are already members of Landmarks Illinois, and we thank you for your dedication and your commitment and your steadfast support. But for those in the audience who are not members, I invite you to join this community today. Please consider supporting our work at Landmarks Illinois. We provide early assistance. As you've heard tonight, we've been involved with several of these projects, whether with our advocacy work, our financial assistance, our work on public policy, from helping to pass the state tax credit to having our grant funds as well, to naming places on our annual Most Endangered Historic Places in Illinois list. So at any one time, our team, which is 11 people serving the entire state, is working on 150 to 200 of the projects you've seen tonight at any one time. We need your support to help people save places that matter to them and to their communities, to protect the environment, and to provide the hope for the future you've heard tonight. Landmarks Illinois is the only statewide nonprofit voice for preservation, and your support is essential for us to advance the catalyzing impact of historic preservation and to save the places that are important for people. So please, everyone, go to our website at landmarks.org. You'll find resources and you'll find ways to join, to donate, and to support the work by sharing our social media as well. That's a way you can be engaged. So to our annual corporate sponsors, thank you so much for your continued partnership. Many of you in the audience tonight, and we can't thank you enough. And to Ann Lazar, the executive director of the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation. She is so generous, I can tell you, with her time and her partnership with us. We can't thank the foundation enough for their generosity and their support. And that concludes tonight's awards ceremony. The entire awards program will be available soon on our YouTube page, and you can share this with others and go back and hear the inspiring words of our award winners. So thank you again, everyone, for being with us. And now it's time to go and celebrate the award winners by having a reception and say congratulations to them yourselves. So thanks again for being here for the 30th Anniversary Driehaus Awards. Have a good night, everyone. Take care.